Hello, knitters. In this segment, we are going to learn how to do a knitted cast on. Now, casting on is the way that we get stitches on our needle so that we can start knitting. So I'm starting with a slip knot, and I'm going to take the loop from the slip knot, put it on my needle, tighten up the ends a bit, put my needle in my left hand. Now here's my tail. I'm not going to use my tail at this point. I'm going to use the yarn. I have a choice of whether to hold the yarn in my left hand or my right hand while I'm working. I'm going to start with holding it in my left hand. Then I'll show you how to do it with your right hand. The technique is exactly the same. It just ends up being which is more comfortable for you. So you might want to try it both ways, see what you like best. I'm going to take my right needle, put it in this slip knot, which is really my first stitch, from the bottom up and into the back. So my left needle is on top, the right needle that I just inserted is behind. I'm going to take the working portion of my yarn, the part that's attached to the ball, wrap it around from back to front, around that back right needle, and then take this loop that I've just created and back it out of that stitch, same way I went in, pull it up a little bit, and stick it back on the left needle. And just tighten things up a little bit, and we'll do that again. I'm taking my needle, putting it in that first stitch from the bottom and into the back, wrapping it around from back to front, and then taking that loop and backing it around back through that stitch, pull it up a little bit so I can manipulate it, and stick it back on the left needle. Now I've got 3 stitches. I'll do it again. Insert from bottom to top into the back. You see that I have these 2 needles are now crossed. Wrap that yarn around, pull a loop through, pull it up a little bit so I can manipulate it and put it back on the left needle. So at this point, I have 4 stitches on my needle. The top stitch is always going to look a little wonky because it's the one that I just put on the needle, and it will begin to look normal when I knit the next stitch. Okay, now I'm going to switch the yarn. It has been in my left hand. I'm going to switch it over to the right. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Put our needle in that first stitch from the bottom up and in the back. I'm going to make sure I hold the needles in this crossed position. Wrap the yarn around from back to front. Pull that loop back through the stitch I just made and put it back on the needle. Let's do that one more time. Same thing from the bottom to the top. Wrap that yarn around, back to front. Pull it through that last stitch and put it back on the needle. So at this point I have 2, 4, 6, 8 stitches on this on my needle. I'm going to do 2 more so that I have 10 altogether. I'll do 1 wrapping using my right hand to hold the yarn, and now I'll switch over, do 1 more stitch with the yarn in my left hand. Now I should have 10 stitches, and that is really enough for us to start knitting.